up, say. One time for the hometown, I got love for it, it's real. Yeah. 2 times for the haters, man, cause I notice how this shit feel. 3 times for my family, dog, cause this shit done paid off.
Welcome back, guys, to the Matt Cutrer Report Podcast. Of course, this is Matt, and we have another special guest in studio this week. So, this is my friend, Shayne Cockrell. Thank you so much for coming on today.
You're
really
welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
Yeah, cool. We're going to have a good little discussion.
Yes.
I think you guys are going to really like this one. Stay tuned. Hang on just a second. We got to hear from a sponsor, and then we'll be right back, and Shayne will give us her elevator pitch. All right. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Holscher Ranch Group has you covered. With a dedicated team and a passion for Texas land, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Visit HolscherRanchGroup.com or call 325-899-1403 to get started. Holscher Ranch Group, making land ownership dreams come true 1 acre at a time. Hey guys, pardon the interruption, but if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button to show your support, we'd be very appreciative. Now back to the episode. All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, Shayne, give us your elevator pitch, who you are, what you're all about, what you do, that kind of thing. Hit it.
Well, my name is Shayne Cockrell. I am semi-new to moving to San Angelo. I moved back. I've tried to live in this town many times, failed every single time. Mm-hmm. So my story goes, but that's okay. We're going to move forward with it. I am a very proud mom of 3 beautiful babies. Nice. Not babies, really. My oldest is 33. She lives here in town. Get to see her and my grandbabies every day, or as much as I possibly can with my crazy busy schedule. My son is 29, lives in New Braunfels with his beautiful wife and my beautiful granddaughter. And then my baby, Giggle Maggie's, she is 20, fixing to be 21, college student at Texas A&M.
Nice.
Graduates early and already working to get what she has to get done to get her master's degree.
Wow. Yeah.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Great girl. Great kids. My kids are my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got 3 beautiful kids. I work for a construction company here in town full time. I work part time on the weekends as a server because I do. Yeah. I work for the House of Fifi. Mm-hmm. Love everyone over there. They're absolutely amazing people.
Yeah, they are.
It's really in my wheelhouse. I love customer service. That's my thing. It's customer service. Cool. And so I do that on Friday and Saturday nights. And stay busy everywhere else.
Oh yeah.
So I never slow down. Slow down.
You don't. I mean, you really don't.
No, my schedule is
jam-packed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. So the first thing I want to talk about here is just kind of how we met. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, we don't have to get real into detail with that, but essentially, Shayne and I are in a class together.
Yes.
That it's actually a class that you voluntarily signed up for.
Absolutely.
And I involuntarily ended up in as a court-ordered deal. But it's actually been such a blessing, such an eye-opener, unexpected. But let's just talk about that a little bit. So we're talking about outpatient rehab through ADAC here. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that a little bit, your experience with it so far and everything.
Well, I'll start off by saying it is the absolute best thing I've ever done for myself. When I went into it, when I moved back to San Angelo, because San Angelo is, I've just got so many dark demons in this town. And when life got crazy and I had no place to go but here to my mom's and my sister's, I knew by living in San Angelo, I was in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I relapsed last year.
Yeah.
After many years.
17
Almost
years,
17
right?
years, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah. I had fiddled a little bit with cocaine and stuff like that prior to my major methamphetamine relapse. But when I moved here, I'm not going to say that, but I got mixed back up with methamphetamines and lost everything.
Yeah.
everything in my heart, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
My kids wouldn't speak to me. My oldest daughter is never left my side, but my other two, pride and joys, was horrible. When I moved here, I knew I had to do something.
Yeah.
And at this point, I still was not speaking to my younger two kids. They were not speaking to me because it's just been a hard, rough journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
And understandable now when I tell you about the outpatient. When I moved here, I knew I had to do something. I was desperate. Someone had mentioned just counseling.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for any kind of counseling. I wasn't even thinking rehab at that point. That was not even on my radar.
Yeah.
I was just desperate for some type of counseling because mentally I was screwed up from A to Z.
Yes.
And so someone had referred me over there. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to run in here one day. And I was having a really bad day. And I'm like, just pick up the paperwork, find out what it's all about. That's all I can do.
Exactly.
Just find out what kind of counseling they have and all of that. Well, I happened to run into one of the counselors there. And very fortunately, he had time to talk to me. And he's like, hey, why don't you go into inpatient?
Yeah.
Here in town at Journeys. And I'm like, I can't do inpatient.
Right. It just wasn't realistic.
It wasn't realistic because I'm already a crazy mental mess.
Yeah.
Let's add no job.
I know.
No nothing. You got me in
Bills
four
stacking up.
walls.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah. I understand.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I really think that that's the route you need to go by hearing everything you're saying. Maybe, okay, well, what about outpatient? And I was like, okay, let me take all this information home. I'm going to go talk to my family and see what they say.
Yeah.
When really and truly, I should have been the one. And I wasn't even doing it for me. I was grasping.
You told me that. At the time, you weren't.
I was not. I was grasping for straws. What can I do
to show
my children that I am serious?
Yeah.
And y'all are going to make me cry on this because it's still a touching thing for me.
Yeah.
I was desperate, and I'm like, if I do this, my kids will see me and say, okay, well, maybe she is serious.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
None of this was for me. And of course, when I got into it, boy, the longer I was in it and the longer I was sober, boy, it was feelers. It was hurting. All this pain just started rushing to the surface.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. It took me probably at least a month.
Yeah.
For it to turn around and say, oh my gosh, this is not for my kids.
Oh, wow.
This is the best decision I have ever made in my life.
Wow.
I can tell you, there's no decision I have made in 20, 30 years that can compare or stack to what I have done.
Whoa.
And, the funny thing is, like I said, I started it for my kids. I was desperate.
Yeah.
Just to show them, hey, look what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this for y'all. But you know what? It's not for them.
Yeah.
Every bit of it was for me.
Yeah.
And I think that if I would have done what I'm doing now 17, 18 years ago, when I recovered, I would have probably not relapsed.
So what is it that you feel you didn't do whenever you first got clean 17 years ago?
I can tell you exactly what I didn't do. Oh yeah, and it's very clear to me today.
Okay.
Today it's very clear to me.
Okay.
Now, 2 months ago, I could not tell you.
Yeah.
I'm
really curious to hear this.
Yeah, so several months ago when I first started this, I'm like, well, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem. But I did not. Being in this recovery rehab program, I've learned to love myself. I've learned to forgive myself. I've learned who I am. I've learned my priorities. I have learned that I'm not really that bad of a person.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm actually a good person, and I need to love myself for who I am today.
Wow.
When I recovered 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah, tell us about that. Was there a treatment program?
No, there was nothing, actually.
Okay.
My daughter, my youngest one, I lived here in San Angelo. Oh, I love this town.
Yeah.
I lived here in San Angelo. I was knee deep. No, I wasn't even knee deep. I was nose deep
Yeah.
from the floor up
Whoa. Yeah.
in drugs.
Yeah.
I was running with the dealers. I was running with.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
How old were you at that time?
35,
Yeah.
36,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
So my youngest at the time she was almost 4.
Oh. Wow.
And
Yeah.
my husband and I were, we were off and on, because he was just tired of dealing with my drugs,
Mhm.
He just got tired of dealing with it. And
Yeah.
he came in one day, we had gotten back together again,
Mhm.
and he had come back in one day, and he told me, he's like, hey, I took a job in Georgetown, which is where he's from. He's from there.
Yeah.
And he said, you can either stay or go, but I'm leaving. You can have the house,
Dang.
everything.
Yeah.
And he probably should have taken Chase with him, but he didn't.
Yeah.
But as my story progresses here in a little bit, you'll find that they probably should have taken my kids a long time ago.
Wow.
Years ago.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate that didn't happen. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyways, he up and left.
Yeah.
And so he was gone probably about 30 days, and Chase and I got the flu. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. Chase and I had gotten the flu.
Mm-hmm.
We were sick, running a high fever in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, she was about 3-4 years old. And so we finally got well.
Yeah.
But Chase continued to have this hacking cough,
Okay.
which we had struggled with asthma. And she had been in the hospital. And so I'd taken her to the doctor here in town, her pediatrician. And I'm like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
Because we both had the flu. I couldn't figure out, because she would be in her sleep just doing this.
Wow.
Yeah, just a really
For
weird.
how long? did
Oh
it go
gosh, for
on?
about 2 or 3 weeks
Wow.
after
yeah.
we got well.
Right. After getting well.
Yeah. And so I took her to the doctor. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Mhm.
Test, let's do x-rays on her
Yeah.
lungs. Or is it something we need to worry about with her asthma? He's like, So we went through everything. He's like, what's changed in her life? I said, well, what do you mean what's changed in her life? Well, has there been something change at home? I was like, yeah, her dad left us
Mhm.
and went to Georgetown.
Yeah.
He said, well, that's her problem.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
He said she has developed what we call a childhood tick.
Oh. Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was because she had lost her dad and she'd missed her dad.
Yeah.
And I had made
Oh.
that decision that day. I went home and I called my husband and I said, we're coming to Georgetown.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm not doing, and that's another thing. Everything I've done
Mm-hmm.
everything I've done for the past 20 years has been for somebody else, whether it be
Yeah.
my kids, my husband.
Yep.
I've never done anything
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah.
And so,
Hmm.
like I said, I was knee deep in drugs at that
Yeah.
point. And it was an everyday, all day habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so time went by. I finally found a job and I'm like, okay, well, we're on our way. It was Easter Sunday
Yeah.
in March and 2007.
Wow. Okay.
March of 2007, Easter Sunday, I loaded my car with the last of my things in Chase after we had Easter with my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way to Georgetown, I finished everything I had
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
threw it all out the window.
Really?
All my paraphernalia, everything.
Whoa. It was like a fresh start.
Yeah, it was a fresh start.
Whoa.
And I never-
Interesting.
Ever,
You just never picked it up?
I never picked it up again. And I had no desire
That's so
until
crazy.
several years ago, a couple of
Yeah.
years ago. And I had no desire.
Whoa.
But from there, I never sought help for myself as far as
you
any
just
kind
quit cold
I just quit
turkey.
cold turkey.
No therapy,
No nothing.
counseling,
No nothing.
treatment.
Mm-mm.
That is so interesting.
And I just woke up and lived every single day like a robot,
You
and did oh yeah, like I did what I thought everybody wanted me to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did, I got a job. I there was just, I just lived life every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like just going through life.
Yeah.
raised my daughter. And when she got in high school, it was the older that she got and the more independent that she got and the more just, I can't even explain, the more depressed I got.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we struggled with our relationship all through high school, and she was the only one I still had left at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we struggled with our mom and daughter relationship for many years.
Yeah.
Still do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing with cocaine.
In Georgetown?
In Georgetown.
Okay. Yeah.
And
what led to that, do you think? Do you
remember?
remember?
I know exactly what led to it.
Led up to
and it
that?
was the people I was hanging out with.
It was?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you were drinking or something?
No.
Okay.
Well, I did drink, but I was never a big drinker,
Right.
but it was my friends.
Okay.
And one of them was a girl that I hung out with. God, her and I had been best friends for 7-8 years.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden one day she's like, oh, guess what?
Oh.
Look what I got. Because she knew my past. I knew her past.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, let's try it.
Yeah. Wow.
One thing led to another, and I used it all the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I rekindled a friendship with someone I probably, I don't know if I should have or not.
Right. Yeah.
Love her dearly. I wish she was sober.
Yeah.
I wish, as a matter of fact, I just went to bed last night crying and praying.
Oh.
I wished I could convince her to get sober.
Here or Georgetown?
No, she's in Georgetown.
Okay, yeah.
Because I love her with all my heart.
Yeah.
But,
wow. Yeah.
it was something that we all were, we all did it together.
Yeah.
And then I got clean when I moved to San Angelo.
Okay.
And probably about 8 months into it is when I was out at the bar one night.
Yeah.
And I ran into someone I know.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
Yeah.
Knowing that he was a dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, just give me that 20. Let me try it.
Yeah.
And this was meth.
Yeah.
Stupid. I can handle it. No big deal. It's been so many years. It's been so many years.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah, that's how we trick ourselves. We fool ourselves.
Oh, we lie.
Oh, it's so crazy.
When you're weak,
yeah,
and you're not equipped with the tools
right.
like I'm equipped with now. Now I know. I know
Mm-hmm.
now. But yeah, and that one thing led to another, and I lost everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
My son got married, and not long after he got married, we found out he was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
We found out she was pregnant right before they got married, but they'd been engaged and planning their wedding for a long time. They've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
But they found out they were pregnant in November and then got married in January, but the wedding had already been planned for a year.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So anyways, in my relapse, I let my son down.
You didn't go to the wedding?
I didn't know. I went to the wedding because I hadn't relapsed at that point.
Oh,
but
okay, yeah.
Baby showers, things like that.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
And it was all because of my relapse. And I let him down. I hurt him. When he needed me the most, it was his first baby. And he was always a mama's boy. And I let him down.
Yeah.
And he's still not in the 100% trusting and forgiving stage with me yet. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I understand, I deserve to have to work and prove to him because this is my fault.
Yeah, I like that you take accountability.
Absolutely.
You know what I don't think we can make progress without doing that.
No, and this is all my fault.
From you.
Oh yeah, you have to take accountability.
Yeah.
And that was the conversation that you and I had the other day about your son, and I'm like, man, Matt, you can't expect something to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And them forgive you and trust you because it's only been a window this big.
That's right.
When there's this much time that we ruined.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's something I've had to learn, and that's the hardest pill to freaking swallow.
It is.
That is the hardest. The fact that I have disappointed, I have let down, I have ruined their trust.
Yeah.
The hardest pill to swallow.
Wow. Yeah.
But I will say with every ounce of anything in me, God has a plan.
That's right.
God has a plan. The day I walked in there and said, hey, I need a counselor. And if y'all got one today, I'll be glad to see that counselor today.
Right. Yeah.
Because don't make me wait, because if you're going to make me wait, I'm probably going to go out there and buy my next bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's where I'm at today. I will. If you're not going to see me and talk to me today, and you're going to send me away, I will be buying my next bag on the street, because that's where I was today, that day. And so I was fortunate, and they talked to me, and like I said, it wasn't for me that day. It was not for me.
Yeah.
Everything, I'm just grasping at straws, struggling, whatever I got to do to have my kids forgive me.
Right.
And be a part of my life.
Exactly.
I will do it. Whatever I had to do. It wasn't, but I've learned so much about me, so much about my addiction, so much about where I don't want to be ever.
How did your kids find out that you had relapsed and you were using? Did they suspect? Or
okay, so yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So my oldest lives here in town. The one that's 33.
Yeah.
She's no dummy.
Yeah.
Because my oldest is pretty much her younger years. She lived with me. She was the only one, for the most part, in my household that was old enough to know my mama's doing drugs.
Oh.
She knew.
Yeah. Okay.
I put her through living hell as a young teenager.
Yeah.
And up until she was 15, 16 years old, I put her through hell. Because I was on drugs. People in and out of my house, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so she knew.
Yeah.
And so she knew the very second she saw me the next day or two that something wasn't right.
Okay.
And she suspected it because she knew she was with me when I ran into that person.
Oh,
that night. Yeah. We were out having a beer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And she knew.
Yeah.
She wasn't dumb.
Uh-huh.
And so time went on, and us as an addict, what do? What's the first thing we do? Deny.
At all costs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. At all costs.
I'm not a walking around crazy idiot.
Right.
Like you're saying I am, but really and truly I am.
Yeah. We are not going to admit to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have bugs crawling all over me. And
yeah.
Well, I don't know, what are you talking about? No, I'm not no addict. I'm not relapsing. That's exactly the way it was.
Yeah.
And the more I got accused, the madder I got. The
Real
more
defensive.
oh my God, my anger went off the chain. It was horrible.
Why are y'all accusing me of this?
Yes.
I can't believe you're, yeah.
Yes, my anger went off the chain. Well, finally, and she's like begging my other two kids because they didn't live here in town.
To like have an intervention or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom's got a problem, and the whole time still I'm denying.
Yeah.
Every bit
good for
of it.
her for doing that, stepping up.
Yeah. So it wasn't pretty.
Really?
Oh, no, it was not pretty.
Did it happen, an intervention? Or?
No.
Okay.
So finally one day, I'm trying to think of what even led up to it. I had gotten clean. I'd moved in with my mother because I was waiting on my house in Georgetown because I was in the process of moving back to Georgetown.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew, I was like, I got to go.
Yeah.
I got to get out of this space.
Yep.
I've got to go.
Change environment.
Exactly. Yep. Which, come to find out, geological change doesn't mean jack
That's right.
shit.
Yeah.
It don't mean nothing.
Yep.
So anyways, I had moved in with my mom and I'd been sober for several months at this point. But my depression was so bad. My anxiety was so bad. I called Megan over one day, and I still have the recording, actually.
Wow.
I had actually asked my other two kids, hey, I want to meet y'all halfway. Let's go and have dinner.
Okay.
Because I need to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
Well, neither two of them would talk to me. And at this point, my granddaughter was born.
Yeah.
She was about a month old. Yeah. And so...
You hadn't seen her?
I got to see her for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So anyways, I couldn't get those two to get everybody together. So finally I'm like, Megan, I need you to come see me. Come to the house. I need to talk to you real quick. And so I let her know. I was like, hey, I'm fixing to talk to you, and I'm going to record it, what I have to say, because I'm going to send this because I want my other two to hear it from me.
Okay, I see.
Versus in black and white.
Yeah.
I want them to know.
I like that. Yeah.
And so I did a recording, an open recording, and I told Megan everything. And I apologized to her and apologized to them, and sent it to them. And at that point is when both of them, my younger two, completely walked away from me.
After you sent that? How come? Was it
because they said I lied, which I did. That's what addicts do.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for them, and they didn't trust me. The big thing is trust, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing about addicts is it's hard when you have been living this circle for so many years. Your family and your kids are tired of dealing with you. And you are all talk and no action. And as long as you're no action, you know, they're like, we don't want to hear your words. And as a matter of fact, I have a response from my younger one that day that she sent a response to me, and she's like, I'm done.
Wow.
And she, you know, basically until I'm ready to prove, and it has to be legitimate.
Yeah.
And at this point, gosh, I want to say it was August 3rd, a year ago.
Okay.
So it's been over a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it was August 3rd, though, that I sent that.
Yeah.
And other people are like, well, why did you tell them? You should have just kept denying and eventually just moved on with it. And I was like, something in me kept telling me I need to just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that you guys have accused me of is true.
Wow.
I had to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
I bet that was tough.
Oh.
On you and them.
It was hard on both of us.
Yeah.
It was. And I will tell you, under no circumstances do I discount 1 ounce of their feelings.
Yeah.
There was a lot of hurt and resentment because when I was recovered and sober, I'm like, why are y'all not coming back around? I'm recovered and sober now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's how
it wasn't until I got in this rehab.
Yeah, really? That kind of hit you?
Exactly.
Oh, interesting.
It was not until I got into rehab that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve it until I proved to them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So it was a process for you.
It was a huge process.
See, I didn't know that. I thought you just kind of were grounded in that, and you knew that maybe from past experience.
No.
That's interesting. Okay.
I resented, there was a part of me, I'm like, oh my God, I resent them.
Yeah.
Because what else do y'all want me to do?
Right, exactly.
Y'all want me to cut my wrist and give you blood?
Yeah, that's how I feel about, with
no.
my son and all that, with the ex-in-laws and all that. I'm just like, what else do I need to do? What do I
I
need to
know, you and I
prove,
talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I'm like, because it was a process, it was a long process for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was in it for over a year.
Wow.
Over a year.
Yeah.
I have a granddaughter I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son that was my lifeline.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my 2 daughters will tell you that he's the favorite.
Oh,
he was
really?
like, oh yeah.
Oh,
he's what made my heart beat and made my life tick. And it's because
so sad,
it was because I honestly believe it was because and this is something else that you don't know.
Yeah.
When I was in active addiction before my youngest ever was born, my son had come in one day when I divorced my husband, my first husband, my older 2 kids' dad. He was a good dad. And I was like, if he ever come to me and said, hey, I want my kids, or my kids come to me and said, hey, I want to go live with my dad, I always told myself from the day one, I'd never deny him.
Oh, wow.
Because he's a good dad.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it would have to be, they'd have to be at an age that, they really understood all that.
Yeah.
So my son came to me when he was 8 years old.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was knee deep in addiction.
And he said, I want to live with my dad.
I want to go live with my dad. He come home.
Whoa.
It was Christmas break. And he come home. And his dad brought him all the way to my house because we used to meet halfway, which I thought was weird, but
yeah.
anyways, they walk in the door and they're like, "Yeah, we need to talk to you. Garrett wants to talk to you about something."
Mm-hmm.
And Garrett just blurted it. He said, "Mom, I want to go live with my dad."
Dang.
You know, I'm a boy, and I want to go live with my dad because it's all girls here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he told me. But I'm almost going to guarantee it was because I was not emotionally available.
Right. Exactly.
I wasn't emotionally available at all because of my addiction.
Yep. Exactly.
And he was young, fairly young, so he didn't really know a lot about it.
That's right.
Megan, on the other hand, Megan was old enough to know, hey, my mom is a drug addict. She caught me several times.
Oh, she did?
Oh, God, yeah.
Whoa, that's got to be horrible, huh?
Oh, yeah, she suffers from it today.
Yeah. Did she ever have any?
No.
Good for her. Wow.
She is an
That's
advocate
amazing.
she is the biggest advocate when it comes to actual substance abuse.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, she's a big advocate when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my son, and I think I cried like for 2 years.
When he left?
When he left.
Yeah.
Every time he'd come spend the weekend with me every other weekend on Saturday night, knowing he had to go home on Sunday, boy, I was already crying.
Were you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was crying knowing I had to send him back to his dad.
How long did that go on? Did he?
Almost 2 years. I cried almost 2 years.
No, but did he live with him?
Oh, his dad raised him.
Oh.
From the time he was about 8 years old.
So 8 years old he went.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Was there a stepmother involved?
Oh, yeah, there is.
Was that
Still
a pretty
is.
good relationship with you and her and him and her?
No.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. But she took good care of him.
Well, that's good.
I will tell you,
That's good.
Because the majority of his years after, it wasn't too long after he left that I got sober.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of his years with her and his dad, she was a good stepmom to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Whether there were things I did or didn't agree with, yes. But,
Yeah.
And she was there for him when I relapsed. This last time when I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle. It's been tough.
Yeah.
But
man.
It's been tough.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's gosh.
And I think that's one of the reasons that he was so close. I kept him so close in my heart because he left me.
Yeah.
And
that broke
and then
your heart.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And then when he pretty much disowned me over my drug use, over my relapse.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's like losing him again.
Oh, I lost him again.
Yeah.
But this time he's older and old enough to make his own decisions. When is he coming home? Never.
Yeah.
That's all I kept thinking was, I've lost him forever. So
is he still like he just won't talk to you at all?
Oh, well, he does now a little bit.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
He's very standoffish.
Yeah.
His wife talks to me more than he does.
Okay. Yeah.
Like he won't respond to most of the time to my text messages, but he called me the other day. It's just random, but her and I communicate way more than him and I do. So yeah. I wasn't crying on this show today. I just want you to know that.
I'm sorry I don't have Kleenex.
No, you're good.
I need one too.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So I mean, just kind of like you told me though, is I kept thinking to myself like, okay, I understand. Like I put myself here.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that I need to earn back trust, and I need, all these things are fair that are happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, to what extent? Like, I mean, you're not going to give me any leeway. Like, it's been this long, a year, and I still am not gaining ground. It's like, what else do I have to do? And so when you kind of told me, you were like, look, it's not on your time. That's when I was like, whoa, it's not. Like, it's not up to me. I can do whatever I want.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
can throw flowers and money and diapers, and they can still not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not up to me.
It's absolutely
and so,
not.
yeah, when you told me that really hit hard because it's true.
No.
And so I just wonder, I mean, how are you with that right now with your son? Do you feel like he is coming around a little bit?
Oh, yes.
Good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I feel like and him and my youngest daughter more so than he.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But and again, he's coming around more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I just talked to him the other day. And And in due time, and it's his time.
Yeah.
It's
that's
his
right.
time.
Yeah.
And I no longer put a date on it.
Yeah.
I no longer put an expectation on it for me, number one.
Interesting. Okay.
And I no longer put an expectation on him.
Right.
Because that's another thing that as addicts, we hurt ourselves by having expectations from somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then they don't live up to
That's
that
right.
expectation.
Yep.
So then we're mad. We're
That's
sad.
good. Yeah.
We're crushed.
Yeah.
I have learned this rehab and recovery has been the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because I have learned, if I have no expectations,
Mm-hmm.
then we're all good.
Yeah. It's hard to be that way, but you're right.
It's very hard to be that way. It's very, and I don't know why, but I feel like I have a leg up, and I don't know why. I feel that mentally I have absorbed so much of this rehab and this recovery.
Yeah, it seems that way.
So quickly, and I think it's because all my years I've been grasping for something.
Oh, yeah.
I've been grasping for something in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was always not a joke, but it was always mentioned in conversation with my family and stuff like that. Some of my family members prior to my major relapse last year or a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to become an advocate.
Yeah.
For addicts,
Mm-hmm.
for drug addiction,
Yep.
alcoholism. I struggle with alcoholism addiction
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like alcoholics are given way more leeway.
Oh, absolutely.
In society.
Yeah.
It's more socially acceptable.
Do you know what I always say real quick? So people have judged me before, and then somebody who's an alcoholic, they're very lenient. And I say, do you know the only difference between me and you and an alcoholic? The only difference is the scribbling of someone's signature. And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, if the president were to sign to create something that says alcohol is no longer legal again, prohibition, and he signed the document, then that would become illegal, and all the people who are dependent on alcohol would now have to do the same things we have to do to get drugs.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's literally the only thing that separates the two. Yeah.
And that's funny that you say that, because my motto has always been, to this day,
yeah,
it's socially acceptable because one is legal and one is not.
Correct. Absolutely.
Because I have seen and lived through alcoholism.
Right.
That has, and I don't care what you say, well, it hasn't done to me what drugs have done to you. Well, it has.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Just maybe not in the same aspect.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Not in the same aspect.
Right.
But
Each substance does its own thing, but it's still a substance. Yeah.
That's exactly right. But I struggle with the alcohol addiction because I think that it's socially acceptable.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's socially acceptable.
Yeah.
I've never been a big drinker.
Yeah.
Even today I can drink now and
I've always been that way as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
I just have never, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I've just never been a drinker.
I haven't either. And so I was having this conversation with someone. So of course, like my sponsor, he's like, no, like any kind of mood or mind altering substance, including alcohol. And I'm like, well, I've just never had a problem with it. Like I don't even like alcohol. I do it like once a year. And he was like, he was talking to me about it. And I was like, and then I was talking to my girlfriend about it. And she was like, well, I don't understand. Like you don't like alcohol. You don't have a problem. You never have. And I said, what I think it is, if I really think about it, is if I have a drink.
Give me this answer because I don't know
I don't know if this will make sense for you, but it does for me. Is I'll have a drink, but And when my girlfriend does it, she's doing it. She wants to drink a glass of wine because she genuinely likes the taste of the wine.
Right.
She's not trying to alter her mood or mind.
Right.
Whenever I drink, even if it's occasionally, I'm trying to alter my mind or mood. I am. And the thing, what happens is I might have 1 or 2 drinks, and then the next weekend I have a couple, and then a month from then I have 2 or 3. But then what happens is I'm sitting around and I'm like, man, that alcohol drinks were pretty good. I felt pretty good. What else could make me feel like that? So it opens the door for me to be like, well, what other substances can alter my mind or mood?
Right.
And so it's a slippery slope for me. That's what I know for me. That's why I have to just cut it off. Do you feel like that?
No,
Okay.
I don't. That's funny
Yeah.
because I don't. To me, alcohol has always been a social thing.
Yeah.
That's it. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't like to get drunk.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the way that I feel.
Right.
That it makes me feel. I don't like, I'm a control freak, I guess you could say. Because alcohol makes me feel out of control.
Right.
And when I was doing methamphetamines, it didn't really make me feel out of control.
Right. Exactly.
It just, elevated your mood
Exactly.
or whatever, you were
But
high.
you could still function and
I
still
could
have
still
your
think.
wits about. Yeah, exactly.
I could still think.
Right.
And that's where I struggle
Yeah.
with any kind of like
Downer.
yours is opioids
Right.
and all of that. I don't want all that because
you are just not.
I'm already this person that's like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I just can't bring myself to be down,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been my thing with alcohol. I can take alcohol or leave it. It don't bother me a bit.
Same here.
Not a bit. Not a bit. Not a bit. Not a bit.
Yeah.
And not only that, I don't like the fact that I feel bad for 2 days after
That's
I got
the
drunk.
worst. That's why I don't
I'm
even
like,
like to drink.
No.
Yeah.
And with methamphetamines, I can smoke it today or whatever, and after it wears off in 24 hours, you don't feel hungover.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? So why would you?
Well, so the other thing I want to talk about is, so what I find fascinating from the moment I got to class, and one of the things is that you told me, and a couple other people told me, that you, right out the gates, you weren't all into it. You didn't buy in necessarily. And when I got there, I was the same way. But it was interesting because you'd been there 2 or 3 weeks and you were just starting to buy in.
Yes.
But I just saw you at that point.
Yes.
Well, for me, it took like 2 or 3 weeks. And then what happened was I guess what I talked to Daniel and we were kind of butting heads. And he asked me in counseling, he said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Man, I'm here because I want to get what I can out of this. And I'm trying to do the best I can." And he was like upset with me. And I was like, "What am I not doing? Can you write down what you'd like me to do? Like, I don't understand what I'm doing."
I could have told you. You could have come to me. I could have told you.
Well, for me, I was like, I'm just going to keep my head down and get through this.
Yeah.
Well, he said, he goes, "Well, he said, I feel like you're not taking this seriously." And I said, "Well, tell me what I need to do." And he goes, "Well, when you came here and we did our assessment, you said that you were a leader." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, step up and lead." And I was like, man, he's right. Like, he's like, if you can't lead here, where can you lead? And I was
exactly
like,
right.
wow. And really, it just took me, I said, I feel like I can't connect with anyone. And then I made a conscious decision after that conversation that I was going to put some effort into the program, and I prayed about it. I said, "God, please change my mindset here. Allow me to be receptive to this." And when I opened up and shared some stuff I never would before in a meeting or anything, and the way you and a few other people responded to me, I'll never forget it. It was almost a God thing, because that moment was so powerful for me, because I looked around and each person actually gave a shit in that moment.
Oh yeah, we give a shit.
You know
I
what
give
I'm
a
saying?
shit.
And this is the thing I always say. If you know me, you know this about me. I always say that people really don't care about your problems. They have their own problems. No one cares. But in that moment, I was wrong.
Yes.
Y'all cared about my problems, and y'all gave me some advice that meant the world to me. And it changed my whole outlook.
I'm going to tell you when that, and I know exactly what turning point you're talking about.
I know you do. Yeah.
And when you made that comment, I was struggling to like bite my tongue to even let you finish saying what you had to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, please, God, let me respond to what you're saying, because I lived it. Oh my God. Man, I'm still living it.
Yeah.
I still live it, but I don't hurt anymore as bad as I did.
Right.
because
Yeah.
I've come to terms with it and you have not.
Exactly. Yeah.
You had not
right.
at that moment in time.
That's right.
But you're right. When I first started there, I was not there for me.
Yeah.
I was not there for me.
What
and
changed for you though? What happened?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and
Because
that's
real quick, let me interject. So what I find fascinating is I know for a fact that you love people. You
Oh,
have this
yeah.
heart that is very rare. And I just think it's really inspiring because when someone's talking about their problems and stuff, you know about 3 weeks ago what they said about their personal lives, and you're there to give them advice, and you
Yeah.
really care about helping to change
Absolutely.
their lives.
absolutely.
And so whenever you said like you have this almost like a calling to do this kind of work, man, I've never seen more of a calling in my life probably. You know?
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So God has called, I honestly, and that's another thing since I've started this.
Yeah.
I've gotten in touch, you know, maybe not as much as I should be. I've always been raised as a Christian,
Yeah.
raised in the church,
Yeah?
all of that.
Okay.
But I've just never lived my life through God, by God.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, I never did.
Yeah.
Many excuses, whatever.
Right.
But you know, I've kind of created, and that's one of the things is that they preach in recovery,
Right.
in NA, in all of that. You have to find your higher power,
That's right.
and you have to make a connection with your higher power, whether it be God, whoever your higher power
That's
is.
right. Yeah.
So, I was so desperate in the very beginning. And I guess maybe that's where my change came. When
yeah.
and now you're just making me realize
Yeah.
there's my change, okay? I was so desperate. When I first started this program, I'm like, I am so desperate for any kind of change in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Any kind of change in my life.
Uh-huh.
To where I have a reason to wake up tomorrow. Because at this point, I had no reason. I'm like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I first started.
Wow, yeah.
Absolutely. And that was a long conversation that Daniel and I had. I'm like, Daniel, what reason do I have to get up?
Wow. You said that?
Oh,
Oh,
Matt, you don't have a
wow.
clue.
Yeah.
I,
You
like,
were in a dark place.
I was very dark.
I didn't know that you were in that dark of a
Mentally,
place.
I
Yeah.
was so dark.
Yeah.
Like, and I would just go to bed at night and cry. Why am I
Oh.
still alive? God, why are you punishing me every single day of my life?
Yeah.
Please just don't let me wake up tomorrow.
Wow.
And Matt, I did this for weeks.
Oh, man.
Weeks.
Yeah.
I cried for weeks at night when I went to bed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to wake up tomorrow.
oh,
just-
God.
But
yeah.
I'm a big, fat, freaking sissy, and
Yeah.
I can't kill myself
Yeah.
because I'm a sissy.
Yeah.
But I just prayed that, you know, God, just whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go home. Well, I would never said I was ready to go
Dang.
home, but I'm just like, don't wake me up. Just let me go.
Wow.
Let me
Yeah.
go. I don't want to see tomorrow. And
Yeah.
these were my thoughts, because that's what addicts, you get in such a dark place.
That's right.
And at this point in time, I was sober.
Yeah.
But I was still just in such a dark place.
Yeah.
Dark mental
Yep.
place.
Hopelessness.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
one day I'm like, I'd gone to a meeting. I'm like, okay, Shayne, maybe you need to start trying to connect with your higher power.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I know he's there.
Yeah.
Because I've lived with him my whole life and
Right.
my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, just start somehow, some way.
Okay. Yeah.
So I started mumbling at night. When I'd go to bed, I'd wouldn't even mumble. I would think in my head my
Yeah.
prayer.
Mhm.
Wouldn't even say it out loud.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
you're supposed to say it out loud, you know,
Right.
God will hear you when
That's
you
right.
say
It's
it,
more
even if it's
powerful.
a whisper or
Yeah.
a mumble underneath your breath.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, but in the beginning, I wouldn't do that. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start reading my Bible again. I literally
Wow.
got on Amazon. I ordered me a new Bible.
Nice.
I started reading my Bible.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, so these are just little things. I had to force myself, Matt,
Yeah.
in the beginning, like
Mhm.
before you came,
Yeah.
you didn't know this about me. I had
Right.
to like force myself, just write 5 words down
Mm-hmm.
on your prayer card
Yeah.
and go stick it in your prayer jar.
Oh, really?
Write 1 word,
Yeah.
or my blessing jar. Find something that
That's
you
good.
are blessed to have.
Yeah.
Sun shining today. I'm blessed. The
Yep.
sun shining today. It was stupid crap.
Yeah.
You know, because I hated life.
Right. Yeah.
I was mentally so dark
Mm-hmm.
that how could I expect anybody else to like me or love me, because I hated myself because of all the hurt that drugs have caused my family.
Right.
The hurt that drugs cause are horrible. But in the moment, we don't think about that, because I didn't.
No.
Because I love them.
Yeah. I didn't at all.
I love what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not hurting nobody.
Exactly.
It's not, whatever.
That's what you think. Yeah.
Yeah. But, it was a situation. It was one day that my turning point, now you were saying that a while ago, my turning point was, and this is after about a week or two of just like, okay, I'm going to make myself whether I want to or not. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so 2 or 3 amazing things just happened one day, like miracles.
Really? Oh, I've had this happen. It was so crazy the way it happened. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I called my mother or somebody. I think it was my mom. When I got the phone call. Oh no, I called my sister.
Okay.
When I got the phone call, I'm like, oh my God, you'll never believe what just happened to me.
Yeah.
There is a God above.
Yes, I've had this confirmation.
And there was like 2 or 3 different things.
Yeah.
But that one last thing is, I was like, oh my God.
Like there's no doubt.
Because
right?
I was on a phone call to my mom.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I'm not hysterical. Like my family says I'm dramatic and hysterical, but that's just my personality. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not so bad now that I'm sober, but yeah. Anyways, I was on a phone call to my mom, and I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'm just laying this situation in God's hands. I'm not going to panic.
Yeah.
Until the day comes, we'll see what happens. I'm like, oh, but I got to call you back, Mom. Somebody's calling me.
Okay.
And so I answered the other line.
And it was
God calling me.
It was news about that?
Yes.
And
it was God calling me on the phone.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm like, and it was from that day forward that everything, and I'm not going to throw the Bible at you. I'm not going to speak, because that's just not who I am. I don't live that way.
Right. Yeah.
But it was just proof to me day that God loves me.
He did that intentionally.
God intentionally put me in that position in that moment. And it was from that moment on, I would say, that it just changed my whole outlook.
Oh, wow.
Like,
yes.
It was the weirdest, almost like, and I use this term, it was almost like an enlightening.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Like a spiritual awakening.
It was a spiritual awakening for me. Absolutely. And I'm like, oh my God, Shayne, you've been living in the dark for so long.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment in time, I'm like, what am I doing? The dark cloud, the suicidal, dark addiction cloud just lifted.
Whoa.
It was almost immediate.
Yeah.
It was like a whole different perspective in life.
Yep.
And as I was saying, it was always a big joke back in the day. I was like, yeah, not really a joke, but yeah, I think God's calling is for me to become an advocate.
Yeah.
For addicts. And it was after that, and even more that I get into class. Yeah. I'm like, this is my calling in life. And I am going to do it. It's not about if I don't make $10 a month.
Right.
My heart and my soul knows.
Oh, yes.
I've reached out to 10,000 people.
Yes.
And I've helped one. That one person is going to live tomorrow.
That's right.
Because drugs are going to kill you.
Yeah.
Trust me, in one form or the other, they're going to put you in the ground.
All these experiences that you've had have led you here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And here's the other thing I think that I have this feeling for you, and it's that because I see it in class that I think that this is actually a really big component to you staying clean. Yes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're so drawn to it, to helping others with this, that
I'm mesmerized.
It's a big part. Yeah, you are. It's unbelievable. I love seeing it. Yeah.
And I'm mesmerized. And so when I started this, and even with going to NA, and I don't know how you feel about going to meetings.
I like going, yeah.
So are you going to NA meetings, or are you going to AA?
I go to NA, but I'm cool with AA. I just had kind of a weird experience at that same group you talked about. And so I
won't go back there.
Yeah, and so
I'm not going to go back
to
there.
NA. Yeah.
So when I first started going to NA, and I my first couple of weeks in this class, I'm like, Shayne, And this was a big connector. And, and this is what I for me is I don't connect with these people.
What do you mean? Who?
Anybody. This is what I thought in the beginning.
That's what I thought too.
Okay. I'm like, so these people have lived their lives. Their mom and dad were drug dealers.
Right.
Their mom and dad were abusive alcoholics. Yeah. That's the only life they've ever known. Yeah.
That's how you felt?
Oh, yes.
I felt that. So I even told Daniel that. I said, I'm not able to connect because, and he mistook it. He actually said, well, you're just entitled, which offended me because I said, no, you're not hearing me.
I love Daniel. He's going to call you out, and I'm the same way, though. Am I going to call you out?
Yeah, oh, yeah, always. But I said, no. You don't understand it. It's not entitlement. No. It's just I'm having trouble connecting, with relating. Yeah. So I didn't know you felt that way.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
I would have never thought that.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
No. It was terrible. And
And
Daniel and I even had that conversation. I'm like, Daniel, I don't connect with these people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like was very privileged.
Right.
I had a good childhood for the most part.
Yeah, same here.
I was 30 years old before I picked up a drug.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what it was.
I remember you told me that, and I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. I always say I went through a midlife crisis early.
Yeah.
But I was 30 years old. I didn't even know I didn't even know what methamphetamines or cocaine was really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd heard of it, but never even, actually methamphetamines at 30 years old, I'd never even heard of.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, but yeah, I didn't connect in the beginning.
Yeah.
At all. I did not connect. I'm like, I just don't. But the more and more I started opening after I finally am like, okay, maybe I do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because my thoughts and my actions are almost just like
That's right.
They're no different.
Yes. That's right.
I am no better, but I never thought I was any better than any of them.
Right. That's the thing. Exactly.
I never thought that ever.
Yeah.
And I'm the person that God created every single one of us equally.
Exactly. Yeah.
We get up every morning, no matter who you are, what you are, you put one foot on the floor.
That's exactly right.
One at a time. You put your pants on one leg at a time.
Right.
You're no better than the next person.
That's right.
But as far as their stories, I could not connect. I felt like I'm like,
same here.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
I am in the wrong.
I felt like that at
place.
Meetings many times too.
That's why I wouldn't go to meetings.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't go to meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day, and it like I said, it was just that day that spiritual awakening or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, I connect.
Yes.
It's like my mind has been so closed.
Whoa.
And
you didn't even know.
It goes back to, and Daniel loves to tell me I'm selfish.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, we all are.
Oh, of course.
Every addict
of course.
is. We're all selfish.
Yeah.
And he is exactly right.
He is. Of course, he is.
You may not be selfish in the physical things that you do, but in your mind.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're selfish.
Yeah.
You're selfish in your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was when I finally opened up that and said, you know what? That's when I'm like, Shayne, you do relate.
Yeah. So my moment,
we
were talking about, I told Daniel the same thing. And so I go in there, like I said, I'd prayed about it, and that moment happened for me. And when I looked around and I was relating to everyone in there that had gone through a similar experience, and y'all were giving me this advice that really resonated with me, I was like, my God, I'm connecting more than I ever have.
Yeah.
Like, these people are genuinely trying to help me, and they relate to my story. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the deal, is I honestly believe, and now that I look at it in a whole, God has a plan.
Yeah.
God put me here whether I wanted to come or not.
That's right.
I didn't want to come, and I promise you right now, I came screaming,
throwing
a fit, banging my hands on the floor, dragging my heels. I'm like, I am not doing this.
Yeah.
But I had no choice.
Yeah.
Because of life circumstances that I put myself into.
Mm-hmm. Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when that happened, I'm like, okay. But it took me 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
To really resonate, and then it was just like, and I use the analogy, and anybody that is struggling with any addiction problem, if they truly want help and they stick with it, there will eventually be at some point, and that turning point for everybody is going to be different.
Yeah.
And it may be longer, it may be sooner. whatever. And it may not be while you're actually in rehab. It may not happen until after.
That's right.
But everyone will eventually have that aha moment.
Yeah. Okay. That what you just said right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen to this. So for years, going to meetings and other like treatment programs, whatever, I kept looking around, especially in meetings with people who had like 30 years clean, and I kept saying to myself, or people who just had 5, I kept saying to myself, how did they figure it out? Why can I not figure this out? And they have somehow figured it out. And I couldn't figure it out. And until that moment happened for me, and I was like, well, that's probably how it started for them. They had a moment like that. Yeah.
Everybody will eventually have their aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will eventually have their aha moment. And I did. I had mine.
Yeah.
And when I had that moment, it was just like, it was opening to me that it was just an eye-opener to me to where I'm just, whatever I've got to do to help.
You were fully committed.
I am 110. Wow. I am more, whatever you can give me, whatever percentage is the highest percentage.
Yeah.
I am that committed.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's a funny joke with me and Daniel. I'm like, Daniel, when I graduate, can I still come to class?
I wouldn't doubt it if you did.
I swear I want to. Yeah. Because I feel like I can help somebody.
Oh my God, you're going to help so many people. You already are.
Well, and I want to go to ADAC. I want to work for ADAC, but I can't for 2 years.
Is it 2 years?
2 years. Now, I can go into like HR or something of that nature, 6 months, but to work for them and be a counselor, I have to be out of their program for 2 years.
Okay. Well,
but that's okay.
Flies by, you know.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Totally. It took 20 years to get here.
That's right.
What's 2 more years?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And in the meantime, between NA and stuff like that, I'm still helping.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, I helped a lady the other day. She was very upset and distraught because of a very good friend of hers. And I'm like, hey, you tell them to call me.
Wow.
And if they don't want to call me, you tell them to text me. I'll be glad to talk to them. I said, but you'll find out I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's no sugarcoating.
You don't.
No,
you're not afraid
can't.
to do that. So the one thing I found fascinating is I knew that you didn't do that, but I thought, okay, well, she probably does have, there's a line eventually. But then, the young lady who got upset the other night, love her to death. She's great,
Day before yesterday.
Yeah, day before yesterday.
Okay.
And she was heated. And Daniel was trying to kind of talk her down, and you were like, "Listen, you're not gonna like what I'm about to say," and you gave it to her real.
I did,
and
sure did.
Pissed her off to no extent. She left the room.
But you know what? She hugged me and kissed me that before she left.
I saw.
And she told me she loves me.
That took so much courage to, in that moment, still be completely real and tell her what she needed. That was pretty cool. That was cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I forewarned her and I said, just because I'm fixing to tell you what I tell you, I love you.
Yeah.
But you know me, I'm going to be very honest. Yeah. Because you have to be.
But she was so pissed. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, she got mad. She got up and left. She was pissed. Yeah. But the thing is, and that's another thing I'm learning in addiction, is you can't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Because when you sugarcoat, you enable somebody.
That's right. Yeah.
Why? And I was enabled so many years by every single family member I have. Don't get me wrong. They're all there for me today.
Yeah.
And I would give my life for every single one of them.
Right.
But they enabled me.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, if someone should have taken my kids in addiction, my family should have taken my kids.
Yeah.
Completely away from me.
Yeah.
And made me fight like these other girls that got CPS cases, things like that. I was no different.
Right, exactly. Right.
I was no different. I just didn't get caught.
Yep.
And my family enabled me.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
As family. We love our family and whatever, and not knowing any different.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And I'm glad today I would not take it back.
Yeah.
Absolutely would not take it back. But heck yeah, in this world, in the world of addiction, there's no sugarcoating it.
That's right.
And I had everybody that's like coming on here today, and I talked to my mom and my sister. I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. And they're like, oh, really?
They were cool with it, or they were kind of a little worried?
They're a little, are not sure how they feel
Yeah.
about me sharing.
I see. Yeah.
I have nothing to hide.
Right. That's why I invited you on. I know you don't.
Absolutely.
You use it to help others, and that's what this is about, this platform.
I
Yeah.
am not. And everybody's like, you're not ashamed of what you did?
No.
Hell.
Yeah, of course you're ashamed.
I'm ashamed of what I did,
Yeah.
yes. But hell no, today let me preach it to the world.
Yes.
Because if I can help you,
That's right.
not
That's how you help
go
other people.
through or get you out of what I went through.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. That's how you use it for good. Those
I am
experiences.
using it for the good.
Oh, yeah.
I am not ashamed to tell my story. I'm not
Yeah.
embarrassed. She's like, well, what about your job and this? I was like, Mom, I don't care.
No. How could
And if
this do
people
any
see
negative?
this-
This is only going to do good for any of that in the
No.
long run. Yeah.
And if people that don't know this about me see this
Yeah.
and say, oh my God, then those really are not true people to me.
yeah.
I don't care.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have nothing, absolutely zero to hide.
I love that.
Zero to hide.
I love it.
I will tell you anything and everything you want to know about the world I lived in when I was an addict.
Yeah.
You name it. I
Yeah.
have no.
I think
nothing
that's
to hide.
so important,
Nothing to
especially
hide.
if you're going to get into this field.
Oh yeah.
I think it's so important to be open and honest and to own that. You know,
I own it, 100%.
Mhm.
That's one of the things that and that goes back, and I keep going back to this one trigger for you is that day in class. I'm like, Matt, you've only been working this window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Own it because
Yeah.
it's been this long. You need to.
Yeah.
You need to suffer the pain. You need to go home and you need to cry.
Yeah.
You need to suffer the pain because imagine what you have put them through.
That's right. Yeah.
They have to trust you.
Yeah.
And that does not happen overnight. And some people that you may never get that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, you have to do what you have to do to try.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do.
And pray to God every day, or your higher power, as they say, that in due time they come around.
That's right.
That's all you can ask
all
for.
you can do.
That's all you can ask for.
You know what's kind of funny is so Daniel, talk about not sugarcoating it. So Daniel's probably the first person who he kind of did that to me. So here's what I do without even realizing I do it. And he actually called me. He said, are you a master manipulator? And it offended me. And I was like, I am not a manipulator. And I was offended. But then what I kind of realized.
Yeah, you are. We
was
all
that
manipulators.
I was doing it without even really understanding that I was doing it.
That's exactly. I learned that about me.
Yeah, what I was doing was okay. My mindset was okay. I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm just going to get through this. I'm going to tell him what he wants to hear. You know, and so I wasn't buying in. I wasn't.
Oh, I know.
And so he called me out, and it was hard. But if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had that moment and now be where I am with it. So
actually,
it was
he
so
called
important.
you out about the time you had that moment within days.
It was. He called. We had that counseling session where he called me out, and it was really hard. I left pissed.
Yeah.
And then that evening is when it happened.
Oh,
which
okay,
was crazy. Yeah.
So you got slammed both with him and with me.
Yeah, I did.
Love it.
No, I got home and I told my girlfriend. I said it was a rough day today.
Yeah.
It was an emotional rough day, but it was needed.
So, and you know what's funny is, so before I went into outpatient, I have a very close family member. As a matter of fact, he's my. He's been through a lot of this.
Yeah.
And so I called him when Daniel's like, hey, in or outpatient?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me go home. He was one of the first persons I called. I was like, hey, and I'm not going to say his name, but I was like, give me some advice. Tell me what it's like, either in or out. He said, well, Shayne, you better be ready to get real.
Dang.
He told me, he said, you will hit your knees. You will cry.
Yeah.
You will lose your shit. You will, he said, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
He said, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And everything he told me came to life the first month or so I was in there.
Yeah.
Everything he told me came to life.
I was not expecting it either. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad that I see other people really struggling to get that aha moment, and they may not.
That's true.
All we can do is just pray to God that they do.
That's right. Yeah.
And I see them really struggling, and it's just, to me, it just makes me, and that's one of the things.
You want them to have it so bad.
I want them to have it so bad.
I know.
And they will eventually. Maybe.
Yeah, they will at some point, whether it's there or down the road.
Exactly. Because I just want to take their pain away.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I do, but I don't. But I want them, as you said,
get there.
I'm raw.
Yeah.
I will tell you. I will call you out. I will say, hey, really? Do you really think that that's what you need to do?
Yeah.
Let's look at this as a different aspect here. But yeah, it's honestly my calling.
Yeah,
it's I just want to do it so bad.
No, I mean, this is kind of funny, but I think if somebody were to walk in, they would think, "Oh, you're one of the counselors, right?"
Well, you've heard.
No, seriously,
you've heard Daniel say, "Okay,
yeah,
counselor, thanks."
Yeah. No, seriously, it's crazy. It's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool. I like seeing it.
I love it, and I'm gonna tell you, if I was not working 2 jobs, plus doing this pretty much almost full time, I would do it. I would continue to do it.
Yeah.
I would just go to class for the rest of my life because I love it.
For the rest of your life. Yeah.
I love it.
Helps
I
you stay
love
clean.
it.
Yeah.
But, well, and not only that, I have learned so much about myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not even so much helping and actually helping other people through this process in class has actually helped me taught me so much about myself.
Yes.
I have learned so much about what I've been, where I've been, how I've been, who I don't want to be. Because there I said, a while ago, we have people in our class who are like, they don't, they're here for a purpose.
Right.
And that's it. They're not catching the wave of sobriety.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's only there because they have to be.
That's well put.
And that's where you're going to get, you're going to get that
a
everywhere.
Percentage you are. Yeah.
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 It doesn't, no matter how hard you try, but I just learned so much about myself.
Yeah.
And I'm so fascinated by how other people tick.
Oh yeah, you are. Absolutely. It's cool.
So is it that obvious?
Too, so I can see that in you. It's really
so
cool.
is it that obvious?
Of course. Yeah.
I am so
love it.
fascinated about how other people's mind tick.
I know. Yeah.
And I'm like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you what I think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, because I'm good at giving advice.
I know.
And I have been my whole entire life.
I could tell.
I just never lived it until now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I could tell you what you needed to do and how you needed to do it. I just never lived it until now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to live my own advice.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is, never, it's never too late, they say.
No. Heck no.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just now learning to live my own advice.
That's funny.
And I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So we're running out of time, but I always do this with everyone. What are 3 things that you're genuinely grateful for right now in your life?
Oh, sobriety, number 1.
Okay, cool.
That's going to be my top first and foremost.
Yeah.
Is sobriety. My second is going to be God.
Nice.
And my third are going to be all of my babies.
Cool.
Grandbabies and my kids. Oh yeah. I am grateful. I'm grateful that God has given me a second chance to be part of them.
Yes.
And be part of their life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But sobriety, I will always be thankful for sobriety. And if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be be sober.
That's right.
Today.
And
I wouldn't be where I'm at all.
No.
At all.
No.
No questions asked.
And then what makes you genuinely happy? What brings you joy?
Oh, I'm a weird one when it comes to that.
That's all right.
Actually, what genuinely makes me happy is my kids, of course. But I have found gardening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's not just gardening.
That's
I
cool.
like flowers. I like the flowers. I don't, not vegetables and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, how big and beautiful can we make this bloom?
Ooh.
And I wish we had more time because I would say this about, I should have brought this up. In my sobriety and everything that I have gone through, I've kind of related to that flower.
Really?
You start with a seed because I started as a seed, a dark little seed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day you saw this little sprout come out of the dirt. Then all of a sudden you've got this big, beautiful bloom on the top of it. I love flowers. I love gardening. I love planting.
Yeah.
I'll just plant a seed, just throw one in a pot just to see what, yeah.
Have you ever heard people say that they think it's depressing flowers because they're basically just dying? They have
no.
What do you
I don't
think
look at
about
it.
that?
I
How
look
do
at
you
the.
Look at it?
Oh no, absolutely.
Okay.
That's one of the things I love about the bloom.
Okay.
Because the bright, beautiful blooms, the fact that I get to watch this big, beautiful butterfly or big, beautiful bumblebee enjoy my hard labor and help populate or pollinate the
Right,
world.
how it's all connected.
That's all connected.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've got more pictures of just my blooms.
Yeah.
Videos of the big giant yellow and black bumblebees, big gigantic butterflies, hummingbirds, just enjoying the labor that I've put into these flowers.
What's your favorite part of it? Is it when they actually bloom? When
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's when they bloom.
Does it make you sad when they die?
No, I cut them back.
Yeah.
No, it does not make me sad at all.
Interesting.
Because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is just gorgeous.
Right.
This is part of life. It's
That's
just,
right. Yeah.
yeah. Oh no,
That's good. I like
absolutely.
that.
My kids make fun of me because they're like, oh, well, you can't take mom anywhere because she's pulling dead seeds off of dead plants everywhere we go. We can't even
That's
go eat
hilarious.
dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big, that right
funny.
there in my life is huge.
Oh, I like
That's
that. I was not
huge-
expecting that. That's cool.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not very many people know
I
that
like
about me.
that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You're
for coming
welcome.
on. This was so
Absolutely.
wonderful. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're
This is
very
cool.
welcome.
I'm excited to surprise everybody in class and be like, hey, y'all got to watch this. This is really cool.
I'm
You know?
excited. I'm excited
Yeah.
to see the playback on it.
Oh, it's going to be great. I think it's going to help so many people.
Yeah.
These kind of conversations right here is what my platform's all about.
Yeah.
And you even directed me a little bit with that. You're like, Matt, you need to be doing. And then when Mercedes came on, you said, that's the kind of stuff you need to be doing.
She
and it's
was
the all-time
raw.
biggest
Oh
episode
my
I've
gosh.
had. Yeah. So
And I
was
looked
like,
at
you know
it
what,
again
she's
yesterday.
right.
You had like over 10,000 views.
Yeah, you're right.
Or right at almost
that's the
10,000
kind of
views.
things that are the stories that are going to really impact people and help them. You know.
You know, Matt, and I honestly, and I've learned this, is telling your story and having people tell their stories and being active in this, whether you don't need an NA meeting, as long as you have continuous people that
Yeah.
you're dealing with and you're talking to that tell their stories, because that's going to keep you sober.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is it. Not only is it going to keep you sober telling your story and hearing other people's stories, because that's what we do in NA.
Yeah. Exactly.
In NA, we tell stories, and other people's stories, we get bits and parts from all of those stories that we bring in and say, yep, this is us.
Exactly.
And it may just be this tiny bit of
That's
their
right.
story.
Yeah.
But having that, and not only that, just the fact that having people come on here that are open and willing to talk about their addictions
Yeah.
and the things that they went through, the things that they've gained, they've lost, and what they've done to recover, this is going to give someone else in our place hope
Yeah.
that there is light at the end of this dark tunnel that
Yeah.
we started in.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, my tunnel was
Yeah.
freaking
Just like
dark.
the one that you were in, and I've been in one very similar.
Yeah. There is
You
light at the
need
end of that
that.
tunnel.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you've got 10,000 people looking at it, but you help one or two people,
Yeah.
that they took away something from that and they said, I'm
all
going to
worth
get
it.
sober.
Yeah.
Or they took away and they took it to someone that they knew had an addiction.
Right.
That's what it's about.
It is. Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yes.
It's
That's
about
good.
helping somebody else.
Absolutely.
And you cannot put any kind of price on that
Yep.
or a time limit.
Nope.
You can't.
You can't. That's
There's
right.
nothing in the world that you can compare that to,
That's exactly right.
because you've just pulled somebody out of the grave.
Yeah. Right.
You've
Yeah.
just pulled somebody
that's
out
good.
of the grave
Yeah.
by doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
I just feel like, because I was that person
Yeah.
at
Me
one
too.
point in time.
Me too.
Exactly. We were those
Yeah,
people.
we were.
We are able, and you have the platform. Let's help other
That's
people.
right. Yeah.
I think that's what we need to do. Or
Absolutely.
you need to do. I don't have the platform, but
100%.
you do.
Yes.
I absolutely think that's.
Well, we should talk more
110%.
about a recovery podcast.
I think we
You know
should.
what I mean?
You
Seriously,
need to
that's why I
listen to
wanted
that.
you to come on too. Is just kind of to.
You need
see
to
everything.
listen to that podcast that
I'm
I
going
sent
to.
you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I will this weekend. All weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Listen to the beginning.
Okay.
Start with, if you can find his earliest
Okay.
podcasts,
Yeah.
because they're really raw.
Oh yeah. I like to see too how they evolve. You know,
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well,
until
and you
now.
see him, how he has evolved over the
Interesting.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Cool.
it's really, really good.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Okay.
And like I said, he uses his platform to stay sober.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
He uses his platform, and he
Yeah.
brings on, and he helps so many. He helped me,
Oh, cool.
you know, because I don't go to the meetings like I should.
Right.
But that right there,
Yeah.
to me,
that's exactly.
is that
almost
is.
worth more. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
think it is.
I mean,
I get
everybody's
more
different.
out of
Yeah.
those raw,
I
heavy,
do too, to be
raw
honest with you.
stories.
Yeah.
I like the really strong, raw stories
with
that
you.
you don't get
Yeah.
for the most part, and
I'm
not
with-
in our
like our
NA meetings that I've been
conversation
to
right now,
yet.
To be honest, for me, is going to do a whole lot more for me than meetings. Even though meetings are great.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
this does so much more for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you created that connection.
That's right. Yeah.
You've created that connection,
Yes.
and so NA has something. Their title is, and I don't know if you've ever really paid attention. I have been given something that I'm not allowed to keep. I cannot
Right.
keep it.
That's right. The goal
I
is to give
have
it away.
to give it away.
Yeah.
And it is in black and white. It is in our NA text.
Yeah.
I have been given something that I have to give away
That's
in
right.
order to stay sober.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, however I have to give it away
Mhm.
to stay sober, I'm going to do it all day, every day.
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't matter to me how I got to do
Right.
it.
Exactly.
So yeah,
That's the key. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
So
All right, guys. Well, this was fantastic. Thank you again, Shayne. This was Shayne Cockrell. This was amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you draw some inspiration from this. Sharing your story was
Absolutely.
brave, courageous, and I think important. You know.
yeah, and there's one thing I do want to say.
Yeah.
And I don't know who will or will not see all of this.
Yeah.
But if there is somebody that you know that, or if it's you, and maybe they're not ready,
Mm-hmm.
but they want some, they want to talk to somebody, I will be glad to talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't, yes.
Cool.
And if they don't want to talk over the phone, I will text you.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody to know that there's hope.
Yeah.
I
too.
was dark and in a horrible, dark place, and I didn't think there was hope.
Yeah. I've been there.
I did not think
Yep.
I did not realize
scary,
that
that place.
that the moon and the stars and the sun were as bright as they are
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
But I do whatever I need to do if it's going to help one person.
Yeah.
And if one person just needs a real person to talk to
Yeah.
without talking to a counselor or whatever.
Yes. That's cool.
You
for
know,
offering that. Yes.
absolutely. There's
I
no
love
reason
that.
not to.
Yes.
Absolutely not a reason not to.
Yeah.
If I can help
Cool.
one person,
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
Well, you heard it, guys. Reach out if you need to. There's tons of support in this community.
Yes,
Let
there
us
is.
know what we can do for you. And thanks again for watching. As always, this was the Matt Cutrer Report, and we will see you next week.
One time for the hometown, I got love for it, it's real. 2 times for the haters, man, cause I notice how this shit feel. 3 times for my family, dog, cause this shit done paid our bills. And I get 4 times my net worth from a year ago with no deals. Did it all.